First of all, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here and registering for this first RUCIP webinar. It's as I said, it's Friday 9 in the morning, so I think we will have people connecting a bit later. But in any case, once again, thank you everyone for being here. For us, it's very important to explain about RUCIP and to explain about the new rules and how RUCIP works. So before we get started, just to remind you about the antitrust statement, all RUCIP meetings must be conducted in accordance with relevant competition and antitrust law. So please refrain from discussing information which is confidential to your company and not to discuss any topics that were not in the agenda. So if you agree with this, we're happy to welcome you to this webinar. You see here the agenda for this hour that we have in front of us. We will give the floor to Cristina, Domenico, and later to Gilles to share and to explain you what is RUCIP and how RUCIP works and what are the, let's say, the main benefits of using RUCIP in your contracts. From my side, just to say that we are very happy that we had more than 150 registrations for this webinar from all over the chain, so which means that RUCIP indeed can be used by farmers, traders, the industry, which is really important for us. So without further ado, I leave the floor to Cristina to get through the first slides of this presentation. Thank you, Cristina.
Yes, hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome also from my side. My name is Cristina Pohlmann. I'm the European RUCIP delegate. I also work for the German Potato Trade Association, and we will start with our first question. What is RUCIP and who can use it? Berta, please, next slide. So as I know everybody knows, the RUCIP is an acronym. So it's a French acronym, and we kept this acronym because everybody knows what RUCIP means. The RUCIP rules are the rules and practices of the inter-European trade in potatoes. So we are talking about potato trade. These rules are not that new. They were first established in the 50s. They were, of course, revised several times along in the history. I was part of the last two revisions in 2021 and 2025. And what is the role and what is the purpose of RUCIP? RUCIP defines professional practices and sets up efficient procedures for expert assessments and arbitrations for the potato trade. So this is the scope of the RUCIP rules. We're talking about potato trade. There are two associations owning the RUCIP rules. Exactly, not the RUCIP rules, the European, they make up the European RUCIP Committee. This is Europatat and so the Potato Trade Association, the European Potato Trade Association, and EUPA, which is the European Potato Processors Association. Next slide, please. You can see here on this slide a little bit the structure. So we have the European Committee with Europatat and EUPA, with the European Secretariat, which is administered by Europatat. Then we have the European Delegate Office, administered by the European Delegate, which is myself for now. And then we have, of course, national offices administered by a national delegate. But national delegates, you can see in the map, the countries marked with brown. We have their national offices. We have two countries aspiring to get national offices. This is Poland and Portugal. And then we have Belgium with no national office available. I think they stopped in 2023 or something like this. But this is important to know where the national offices are, because on the next slide, Berta, please, next slide. We have the task, the different tasks of the European Secretariat and European delegate. So, you know, I will make it shortly. If you have questions concerning administrations, lists of arbitrators and experts, and general queries, questions to the website, you have to go to the European Secretariat, you have to go to Berta, yeah, because she's in charge now. If you have questions concerning arbitration and experts requests coming from countries with no European, with no national office, or if you have an arbitration in second degree, if you have an expert request and your potatoes are in a country with no national office, then you have to go to the European delegate. You have to call me. Our contact details are on the RUCIP website. Yes, please free to ask us if you have questions or inquiries. But next slide, please. A very important question, and I think I explained a bit at the beginning that the scope of the RUCIP rules is the trade and quality of potatoes. There's another condition for the RUCIP rules to apply. They have to be mentioned explicitly in the contract. This is defined in Article 1 of the RUCIP rules, the rules and practices in part 1, area of application. So you have to mention the term RUCIP in your contract, and then you are covered by them. And who can use it? Everybody in the potato chain, from breeders to farmers, traders, to packers and processors. Yeah, so everybody in the potato chain can use it in their contracts, and they, of course, they have to mention it explicitly in writing in the contract. What are the components of RUCIP? This is not something new. This was valid also for the RUCIP 2021. We have 3 parts of the RUCIP 2025. We have part 1 with the contractual rules and practices. We have part 2, rules for expert assessment, and part 3 with the rules for arbitration. And this is something new. The annexes are now also part of the RUCIP 2025. To that a bit more in the next slide, in the next topic. So we are not taking questions, but we are doing the question at the end. Okay, yeah. So what is new in RUCIP 2025? We started this revision in 2016. It took us a long time. It took us like 9 years, but I think we did it properly. What was our intention? Our intention was to modernize the rules, but at the same time keeping all its advantages. We wanted to change the rules, to adapt them for the modern trade nowadays. We want them to be aligned with the plant health rules, which were also revised at European level. We wanted to introduce tools that facilitate the use, for example, the electronic telecommunication, and we also changed the language. I think this is a very important information. Until now, the version which was the main version, let's say, was the French one. Starting with October 2025, the reference language, the reference version for the RUCIP rules is the English version. Berta, next slide. And we tried to give you here the next 4 slides. Try to give you a very small, oversight, over the main changes of the RUCIP rules. What we did, we took article by article and changed more or less everything. Yeah, the structure is more or less the same. We have the introduction, definitions, and the rules and practices, then the rules for expert assessment, the rules for arbitration, and the annexes. We have, as I mentioned, that improved the text overall. We added some clear definitions, for example, the definition for established broker on Annex 8. We established in Article 16 what frost protection means. In Article 8, we speak about early potatoes instead of new potatoes. I think this is an important change. In Article 14, this is about packagings for seed potatoes. This is intended only for transportation and distribution and not for storage. In Article 17, we added the lack of required documents as a ground for claims, which was not the case. So we, in the 2021 version. Article 26 concerning force majeure, we changed this quite a bit. So the exemption for industrial potatoes is not valid anymore. We changed the language in Article 2, 4, and 7 of the rules for arbitration. We changed the way of choosing the language of arbitration in international arbitrations. We simplified a little bit the procedure. So it's either the language proposed by the requesting party or English. In the 2021 version, there were 6 possibilities. By claims under 25,000 euros, you can get an arbitration committee or arbitration commission made of 1 arbitrator, which sinks the costs as well. So this is one of the things we kept also in mind to reduce the costs for arbitrations. The annexes, as I mentioned, were thoroughly revised. We added the modern means of communications as email in Annex 1. Very important, we have a revised assessment form in Annex 2. In the 2021 version, this assessment form was in 4 languages. Now we have simplified it a little bit, and it's only in 1 language. We made an alignment to the plant health regulations in force in Annex 3. Another important change is that the tolerance tables for early potatoes, potatoes and ware potatoes and seed potatoes are not in the main text anymore. You can find them in the annexes 5, 6, and 7. And if you want to request an arbitration, there is a request form in Annex 11, and you can use this request form to very easily ask for an arbitration, either at the National Secretariat or at the European Delegate Office. That's the name. That's me. Okay. So this in my opinion, in our opinion, these are the main languages. But you can, of course, if you are using RUCIP, and I always, even if I know the text very well, I always seem to find yeah changes, compared to the version of 2021. So by using them, you will see and understand the differences. And to help you with that better, then next slide. The next, we try to make a comparison between the RUCIP 2021 and RUCIP 2025, and we put like in an Excel table the category and the two versions, and what's the key change, what's the key impact, and then we give you, of course, the pages for you to find this the changes a little bit easier. You will receive this presentation after the meeting, so I'm not going to explain too much about this slide and the next two slides. Yeah, you can use it, for your day-to-day work in the future. So I think this presentation will be also available on the RUCIP website, so you can have it and download it, and you can have it, for your company.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. So I think you have a first introduction to what RUCIP is and the main changes into the new edition. I see there are already some questions in the chat, but the way we would like to proceed is we will go with all the presentations, and then we will dedicate some time, some question and answers. So if you have any further questions, please write it in the chat, and then I will make sure that those questions are replied in the Q&A section. So now I give the floor to Domenico to give you a bit the practical information about RUCIP. Domenico, please.
Hello, good morning to everybody. Thank you very much to attend this webinar. I'm Domenico Citerio, I'm the president of the RUCIP Commission, and I will give you some short advice about how RUCIP works in practice. At the end of the day, it's quite simple. Everything starts with the contract. The contract has to be written and has to be referred explicitly to the RUCIP. That means if we don't have a written contract or we don't have a reference to the RUCIP, and it's impossible to apply then for an expertise or for a arbitration. So I hope I have also replied to the question of Peter Fastenkiste that I've seen down there. So written form, any possible form is written. So email, WhatsApp, SMS, Messenger, Telegram, traditional letter, but it has to be written. And second, reference to RUCIP. So you have to mention RUCIPs in somewhere in your contract. If there is no RUCIP reference, it is not valid for our purpose. Of course, you can close or you can make a deal by phone. Everybody, we are every day doing deal by phone, but then it has to be confirmed by a written communication. That's the first point. The second important point for me is regarding the claim. We always hope that there is no claim and no problem in the business, but sometimes it happens. And if it is a claim about the quality of the goods, means of the quality of the potatoes, then it has to be communicated before unloading. That's very important. And again, every communication has to be done written. So you can, of course, anticipate it by phone, but every communication has to be done by written communication. Again, WhatsApp, email, SMS, whatever, but written. It has to remain in order to permit to an expertise or to the arbitrators to check what has been the content of the agreement. If there is no written proof, then it's impossible to identify and to understand what was the content of the agreement. So, claim before unloading, unless the goods can be absolutely and without doubt identified after unloading. Example, seed potatoes. If you unload seed potatoes and you see this is a evolution a disease, you can still claim, but the bags has to be closed. So the bags has to be identified with a label, with a certification, and so on. So as far as the goods are not identified, it is impossible to identify the goods, then a claim is impossible. Claims is also possible when the goods are possibly to be identified. Third point, in my opinion, very important, the respect of the terms. You know, our business is going quite quick, so also communication and answers have to be quick. There is fixed terms for the communication in both ways, claims, answer, and so on, and that have to be respected every time. If you don't respect the term for the communication, you lose all your rights. That has to be very clear. Because we have to guarantee the developing of the business to that the business can go forward. You cannot wait 2 months to make a claim or to answer, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. You have to do it quickly. Also because the aim of RUCIP is to solve problems in a quick way. So as far as you respect the terms, then everything is developing quickly. If you don't respect the terms, then it doesn't function. The fourth thing that is very important for me is that expertise and arbitration are made by professionals. That gives you the guarantee, let's permit me the term, the guarantee to have to work with people that is knowing what they are doing. So they are knowing about the matter, they are knowing about the goods, they are knowing about the business, they are living the business every day, so they are knowing very well what is going on. The risk you have by a normal court procedure is that they get an expertise made by someone that until yesterday dealt with maize or with cows and knows nothing about potatoes, or that you will be in court found, of course, a judge that knows nothing about potatoes. So the advantage of RUCIP is that everything is ruled and managed by people inside the business, so knowing very well what is going on. And the 5th point that is, my opinion, is also important, is that, of course, when you have to ask for an expertise or for an arbitration, you have to pay in advance to guarantee the let's say the possibility to make the expertise or the arbitration. But the costs are certain. A part of few change method might be depending if you have some more cost because of the placement of the arbitrators, of the expertise, or so on. But the general costs are certain. So you know in advance what we are gonna pay for an expertise or for an arbitration. I hope I have give you a certain introduction to how RUCIP works. And please feel free to ask questions if you have it later on. Thank you.
Okay, I think Domenico, you can go also ahead with the next slides. So about how expert assessment work and how arbitration works. If you want also to give some information about these two participants.
Yeah, let me check. Yeah, so as I said, the expert assessment has to be required to either a national delegate if you have a national secretariat, or the European delegate if in your country there isn't a national secretariat. There is a format how to do it, annexed to at the end of the RUCIP rules. There is the annex how to propose the request of assessment. There is also an annex about how the expert assessment has to be made. So that means that the expert has to follow the format. It's very clear and very strict how to do it. So it's easy at the end of the day. It's just a question to read and follow the instructions. As I said, the expert assessment will be done by an officially registered RUCIP expert. The RUCIP expert is somebody that has been registered as an expert in the RUCIP list. There is a clear description about the characteristic that these people has to have, but at the end of the day, it's normally a technical guy working in the potato business. So field manager or whatever. So people knowing very well about the technical question of the potatoes. That's it at the end of the day. So cost and fee are fixed and defined in advance, so you know in advance what they're going to pay. And the result of the assessment will be notified to both parties. The expert will not decide about a claim, so he cannot take a decision, but he will make a picture of the situation. He will describe the goods, describe eventually problem that you can have. So he is going to make a picture about the situation and notify it to the both parties, so they can eventually find an agreement later on, or eventually ask for an arbitration. It's possible to have a second assessment if one of the parties doesn't agree with the result of assessment, can ask for a second assessment, and even a third one in case of further disagreement. But anyway, it's not the expert is not deciding about the claim. It's just making a picture and describing the situation. The decision, eventually decision, will be taken by the arbitration. The arbitration, again, there is a format how to apply for an arbitration. Fees are defined in advance. The arbitration clause must be included in signing the contract, and that's very important. Yeah. So when you refer to RUCIP, in many countries, you need, because it's a private way to solve a question, you have to renounce to the traditional court. In many countries, you have to sign explicitly the arbitration clause. It means you accept explicitly that in case of disagreement, the claim will be settled by a RUCIP arbitration commission and not by a normal court. That's something that's been clear and has been expressly confirmed and signed in the contract. That is very important also. Then you have the different way of arbitration depending of the amount of the claim. So you can have a single arbitration for claims under 25,000 euros, or you can have 3 arbitration, or if the amount of the claim is bigger. The timeline is clear, so it's fixed. As I said before, respecting of the timelines is very, very, very important for everybody. And language rules normally can be chosen by the parties, or if they are disagreed to about the language, it's English by default. Yeah, that's it more or less.
Yeah, we can go to the next one, the last one for you, Domenico.
Yeah.
For the example for everyone.
Yeah, that example. So you see, I mean, it's something that it's very, very, very clear to understand. I think it's everybody who had some experience in a normal court in Europe experienced how time it takes, how it costs, and the difficulties you have. So for sure, the timeline by RUCIP is much shorter. So you've got a decision in a much shorter time. The fee are much lower. The procedure is much more simple. So it's just a question to meet in a room and have a very quiet and discussion about the claim or about the disagreement we have. The decision is immediately. It's taken more or less immediately. It's been notified after some times, but it's taken more or less immediately. And is confidential. It means that everything remains within the four walls of the room where the commission has met. And again, the commission is made by people, is composed by people that are potato dealers, so people that are knowing very well what is going on. They are knowing what they are talking about, and they know what happens in the business, and that sometimes something can go wrong, and you have just to find a solution. So in that sense, I think that it's much more, I would say, fair than a normal court, in the sense that the decision has been taken by people that knows what is going on. On a normal court, you will have a judge that never heard about potatoes and can misunderstand what's happening. That will not happen in a RUCIP Arbitration Commission.
Perfect. Thank you, Domenico. Thank you very much. I think it was here. I see we're still receiving some questions, but I would like to move to also a practical example. So with us, we have here today Gilles Fontaine, so manager of the subsidiaries at Agrico Group. I think he's a well-known person in the potato business around Europe. You have a bit here in 3 bullet points the extended professional experience of Gilles, but I will give you the floor to you Gilles, to explain a bit more and to say to hear what you have to say about RUCIP in your experience. Thank you, Gilles.
Okay, thank you, Berta and Christina, for the invitation for the webinar and giving me the floor to express my opinion. And I will really talk about a personal experience which began years ago. But of course, you know that RUCIP is confidential, so I will not give too many details. But in fact, to be honest, I was really obliged to jump into this dossier 20 years ago, and it was my first year as CEO of Demasier, so 2005. I was a little bit younger, and one of my clients, I think he took the opportunity to have maybe a new manager in this company to put a lot of pressure on myself. Sometimes that's the game, and he came with the idea really to cancel all his orders and all his deliveries, not only for 1 year, but for 3 years, for 3 seasons, because we were having a 3 years contract. Okay, so you can't imagine that we were, of course, engaged with our growth for the production, the multiplication of seeds. And we were talking at this period of time about 500 tons for year 1, 700 for year 2, and 800 for year 3. So we were talking only about 2,000 tons as a first dispute. So to begin in the business like this, it was an experience. So what has been my reaction? First of all, really to check my sales conditions. And if I can give you one advice, take care of your sales conditions. It's not only something written at the back of your sales documents, invoice, orders, or etc. That's very crucial for me to update, not every season, but maybe to have a look every 3-5 seasons to be sure that your sales conditions are really aligned with the regulation, because a lot of things are changing. Second actions has been, of course, to go to my contract. And as Domenico said just before, take care of your contract and the application of the RUCIP. It has to be written. So arbitration, utilization of RUCIPs, the last version of the RUCIP, for example, little advice. So you need really to take care about what is written in your contract. And then you have really opportunity to go to RUCIP. One more time, if you are clear, if your contract is well established, go to RUCIP. If it's not the case, my advice, don't go to RUCIP, because arbitrators were there ready to apply the contract between the two parties. So that's for me very important. At the end, I went to my national delegates, so in this case, Philippom and Isabelle in France, to have explanation about the process. And as you said, Christina, just before, process is quite simple. If we compare with a civil code, with a commercial code, it's much more simple to go to RUCIP than to go to CURS. So I would like to admit that I was really surprised, because after 6 months, really everything was very clear. So a lot of exchange between the different lawyers, parties, summons about arbitration chamber. And after 6 months, we had this arbitration. 3 weeks just after, we received the sentence proposed by the RUCIP committee and the arbitrators. And within 8 months, everything was completely solved, including the payment of the indemnity. So when you have a file like this, at the level of this file, at the financial impact for your company, and we have something solved, and of course, you don't read at 100%, it's between, maybe you have only 75% or 80% of what you ask, or maybe sometimes you can have nothing. But in fact, you have a solution. And I think for the management of a company, a file like this, we talk a lot now about mental load, but it's very important, because you have a short delay and you have a decision. If you go to court, you can wait 3 years before having a decision. Then it can create a lot of troubles in your company. That's for me really one of the big advantage of the RUCIP. So if I have to focus only on maybe on 3 points, what is very important for me, it's arbitration. You don't go to court, so it's completely different. It's another kind of process. And of course, you will have the possibility to go to court if you want or if you need in the future. But it's a legal fact, but it's more friendly than to go to court, first. Second one is, it's professional people at every steps, expertise, arbitration. So we have some trainings. We do train experts, we do train arbitrators. So you don't become arbitrators like this. You need to have the experience, you need to know the potato and the business. And for me, the third point, and I will agree to focus on this, we have delegates. We have national delegates and we have European delegates. Only one delegate, so Christina. And for me, what is very important, you have delegates, they have double skills. You have the legal skills, so you know how to proceed and to respect all the RUCIP, but you know the business as well. You know the potatoes as well. As you said, Domenico, that's very important, to be helped or to be proceeded by potato people. We have this knowledge, and then you can avoid really some big mistakes. My last point, I will finish by this one. What is very important is, many times we stay at the first degree. So many times we give a sentence, we stay at the first degree. We don't go to the second one. We don't go to appeal. What does that mean? It means that the sentence we are given to people are accepted. So that's very important. So you finish a dispute with somewhere, I will not say an agreement or a deal, but with an acceptation. And that's very important. It means that the sentence we are giving to people really relevant. That's the reason why, for me, that's in our business, we do trade, we do business with people. It's better to finish with a kind of agreement than to go to a legal case. That's very important in our business. The potato world is not so big, so you have a lot of chance to come back and to meet again the people, and why not to redo business in some years. Okay, so that's very important to not finalize the things with a legal case. That's the reason why for me RUCIP is really a great tool for me to facilitate and to simplify the potato trade disputes. That's my view.
Thank you very much, Gilles. I think it was very clear. I hope that everyone found it also clear and sweet and clear, as we say. So I will now, let's say, start the question and answers. We have already received some questions. The first one, I think, has already been replied. What if there's
Yeah, I think we can repeat them, because
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
important to have them. Yeah. The first question. The first question, I think it was answered already by Domenico
if
Citerio.
there is no contract and RUCIP is not mentioned anywhere, can RUCIP then still apply in a discussion? I think it was very well replied by Domenico before. No, you really need to include RUCIP in your contract. So I think that's clear. Okay, then maybe Christina, you want to take your reply
Yes,
on the chat.
I'll take the next one.
Yeah.
The RUCIP 2021, the last revision before the revision in 2025 was in 2021 when we added the new structure of the European Committee with the Secretariat, with Europatat and the European RUCIP delegate office. So it was 2021.
Yeah, but it was not regarding content. It was more on the structure.
It was more on the
legal.
structure, but nevertheless, we are talking about 2021 compared or 2025 compared to 2021 because this was the last version. Yeah. Even if from the content, from the information point of view, it was the same, but it was the last version. The next question, what is the main reason you change early potatoes? No, it's the other way around, new potatoes to early potatoes. I already answered that this is the commonly used term in the potato chain. We're talking about early potatoes. I have to mention that our working group was made up of people coming from different countries. So we discussed these issues, also taking into consideration the way they do things, the way they say things in their own languages. So we compared French, German, Dutch, and so on. And then we decided that new potatoes is not appropriate. And we decided to change to early potatoes because it's more commonly used in the industry. In English and in other languages as well.
Yeah, and as you said before, just to remind that the revision took 9 years, so be reassured that there was a very long discussion sometimes for very let's say small concepts to make sure that they're really the closest as possible to the reality of the trade. Okay, if we look at the chat, well, we have a comment from Gerard mentioning that in the UK, contractual terms and conditions not only have to be referenced on the contract, but also incorporated, so agreed by each of the contracting parties. I think, Gilles, you mentioned that as well at some point. That is important. That part of the contract is very clear and is signed by the two parties. We have a question from Jab. If you have problems in the growing season with your seed potatoes, that is not part of RUCIP. So who wants to reply to that? Domenico?
We can.
Yeah.
It depends which kind of problems, of course. If there is problems related to evolutive disease in the seed, that's a part of RUCIP. That's covered by the RUCIP, managed by RUCIP. If you have a problem of drought or flooding, of course not. So if something refers to this directly to the seed potatoes, that's covered of RUCIP. If not related directly to the seed potatoes, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
May I add something here? Because I think this is also important. You can add or delete, you know, quality issues, you know, from the RUCIP. You can change in your contract. You can add things to RUCIP, yeah, and agree upon with your counterpart, or you can delete things from RUCIP. That's also okay, yeah. But if it's not part of RUCIP, then it's not within the scope of RUCIP, so it's not going to help you. Yeah, you can ask for a RUCIP assessment or a RUCIP arbitration, but this is not going to help you. That's the issue.
Yeah. Thank you, Christine and Domenico. Another question: does the expert, so we're talking about expertise, only reports about the topic, for example, disease, where the dispute is about?
I can take this one. It's defined in Article 5 of the rules for assessment. I'm going to read it out loud because it's very well explained in the rules for expert assessment.
Yep.
So it's Article 5.2, and it says the assessment must detail the defects which are claimed according to Article 27, Part 1. In the event of an assessment at loading and dispatch, the assessment takes account of all apparent defects. So it depends on what are you claiming, yeah. So the expert must take into the consideration the defects which are claimed. For an assessment at loading and dispatch, he has to detail all the apparent defects. And in the first case, he can do that as well. Also, I think in Germany, it's usual that the expert details the claimed defects, and if he notices something else, he can you know, put them down. Because Domenico explained very well, this is a picture he takes, you know, of the situation. So a good expert, in my opinion, will also you know, take note of the defects which are not claimed and write them down or make pictures.
Yep. So thank you, Christina. Next question from Catherine. So what about the excessive delay in the loadings of the contracts by end customers? So that is beyond the contractual schedule period for loadings. As traders, how to deal with it toward the producers affected and the customer himself? What does RUCIP say now in such a case? Who wants to reply?
To be honest, I have not really understood what Catherine means. But what I can say is that all the contracts, RUCIP contracts, are considered as fixed term contracts. That means if we say potatoes have to be delivered on the 31 of October, potatoes have been delivered at the 31 of October. If they are not delivered within the 31 of October, then there is the reason for a claim, for an action. Yeah, that's what I can say. I'm trying to you know, to interpret it, but I think that is the case.
Yeah. Well, Catherine, let us know in the chat if that's clear for you, or maybe we can also we can follow up that question if you want. We have another one which is regarding force majeure. So let's take this one. When a farmer cannot harvest because of weather conditions and the RUCIP is in case, there is no exemption anymore for force majeure, so he has to deliver. I can already say no, so but I know Christina wants to reply to
yeah, then we have Article 26 is concerning force majeure. We have, of course, reasons for exemptions. No, if an example of force majeure is like war, revolution, I'm reading now. Strikes, interruption of traffic, general prohibition of import or export, natural catastrophes, or loading conditions becoming impossible. So if there is a force majeure, of course he cannot deliver.
Yeah.
So
Maybe here, because I think you mentioned before the exemption. So what has changed, Christina, regarding force majeure, which is the part that we have changed regarding, so before it was an exemption for processing potatoes, I believe.
yeah.
Then the exemption is not there anymore. So that's
So you had to deliver these industrial potatoes, nevertheless. And now they have the same status as all the other potatoes.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if it's ware potatoes, early potatoes, or industrial potatoes. If there is a case of force majeure, you don't have to deliver. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is important because that's the change in force majeure.
That's the change.
Doesn't mean that we're getting rid of force majeure cases, but it's just
no.
Applying force majeure to all the
potatoes,
to all the supply chain. Okay. Then we have a couple of questions that are really similar, I think. So do you offer standard contracts as templates? Where can such templates be obtained? And then I'm also taking the next one because I think it's similar. Is there a European contract template for trading seedware or processing potatoes that explicitly includes RUCIP regulations? So yeah, maybe Christina, you want to take that as well?
Well, no, we do not have standard contracts or templates. Yeah, this is something you have to discuss maybe with your lawyer. I would say that you have to check with your lawyer.
And maybe also
we never had that.
I think you can check as well, because I know that some countries, and maybe Gilles, you want to confirm this. I think in France, CNIPT, right? Or they don't offer kind of example of contracts templates, or Belgapom in Belgium, because that's more at national level. So
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm speaking now as
speaking as
German party. Yeah, we don't have that in Germany. Because I think the first question was asked by a German participant.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I don't think so about CNEBT. But I think with FEDEPOM, we have given some advice, and not a template, not a formal template, but yeah, with some different commissions, as export commissions, for instance. But it's more under the umbrella of FEDEPOM.
Yeah.
In CNIPT, it's advice as well. It's just advice of what kind of contract you could do, but it's not something.
Yeah, it's not a template, but it's an advice. Yeah. So in that sense, I would advise to contact your national associations. It's very important that you're also part of national associations, because those are the ones that will help with all these questions. Domenico, I don't know if you wanted to add something. Otherwise, I will take the last question, and then we start slowly wrapping up.
Yeah, about the contract template. No, I don't know if there is I don't think there is a European contract template. So as far as I know, there isn't. But in the RUCIP rules, it's very clear what a contract has to contain. So if you look in the RUCIP rules in the chapter about the contract, that stays very clear what has to be the content of the contract. So it's just a way to, build up your own contract containing all those information, and at the end of the day, you have a perfect tailor-made RUCIP contract.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Domenico, because indeed we don't have a template, but everything is listed in the RUCIP rules. So please check it, because that will be a lot of help. Okay, I will take the last one. Since we started also a couple of minutes late, can RUCIP can RUCIP only be applied to sales contract, or can I use also RUCIP in a purchase contract? So if I'm to require the supplier to comply with RUCIP.
In a commercial deal, there is a sellers and the buyer. So at the end of the day, what applies to the sales also applies to the purchase. Of course, you can ask your supplier to comply with RUCIP. If he accepts, then it's made. That's it. So, as I said before, RUCIP refers to all the commercial deals about potatoes that might be made by sales confirmation, by purchase confirmation, or whatever. But as far as both parties agreed to the RUCIP rules, then that's made.
Yeah. So we come back to what we said at the beginning. So it's a matter of including RUCIP in the contract. So it doesn't matter if you're buying or you're selling, but the two parts need to agree with it. Okay, I think that was a good session. Just wanted to say, if you have any other questions, please check the frequently asked question in the section in the RUCIP website, because there you can find also, other questions such as, do I need to be a lawyer to understand RUCIP? How to start an arbitration, how it will cost, is RUCIP applicable to all parties? So please check the website, because we have a lot of information there. And of course, as Cristina said at the beginning, if you at any point you have any questions about RUCIP, how to use it, please get in touch. We are also here for helping. So just to close the session, just wanted to mention some actions that we will be taking in the next months, in the next year. So it's expected that we will organize either at national level trainings to experts, arbitrations, and national secretariats regarding to the rules. We will also develop guidelines on for European RUCIP committee and how to open a national secretariat. So we really want to, now that the RUCIP rules are published, to get out there and explain, how RUCIP works and what is the benefit of using RUCIP. Just to mention as well, in the RUCIP website, you will find the RUCIP rules already in English, French, and German. So the 3 languages are already available. So thank you for the national secretariats who took care of the retranslations. And then also to mention that in Germany, this same webinar will be organized in German language, of course, on the 12th of November from 10 to 11. I have put there the links to register. As Cristina mentioned at the beginning, we will share the presentation, and you will also find the link to register on the RUCIP website. So if you want to attend the RUCIP, the webinar in German, please also register. And then last slide from us, just to mention and remind you again that the RUCIP website has a lot of information. So you will find there the RUCIP rules, all the annexes, all the contact information of national RUCIP secretariats, the costs of expertise and arbitration costs. So this is public information. You will very easy can calculate how much an expertise or an arbitration cost will cost for you. We have the frequently asked questions section and the news section as well, where we will be publishing also if there are some webinars in other countries. And for any other question, once again, please get in touch. We're here to help. So don't hesitate to reach out, to call, to send an email to us. And I think with that we can close. It's 3 minutes past 10. We started right. I think we've done like a 1 hour appeal, as we say in French. So thank you everyone, to all of you. We were almost 90 participants from all over Europe and across all the supply chain, which means that there is a lot of interest. So for the ones that know already RUCIP, keep using it and keep also disseminating about the benefits of using RUCIP. For the ones who don't use RUCIP yet, again, please reach out if you have any questions. So I will send the presentation to everyone. We will also post it on the website, and I will also try to post the recording of this webinar. So thank you, everyone. Have a nice day, and I already wish you a nice weekend to you. Thank you very much for joining. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much to everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend.